Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm sure a lot of people are joining us from all over the world. So, yes, pretty excited to present today and start today's webinar. I'll give it a couple of more minutes for people to continue joining, and then I'll get started. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to today's webinar, where we are mainly going to be introducing the new APS business model and speaking more about the experience changes and some call to actions you need to be taking as a customer. Before we get started, I'm going to do a quick round of introductions. So my name is Dwanal Mehta. I'm a product manager working on APS developer experience, mainly responsible for our admin experiences, our the reporting features, including the APS developer portal. And in the last 1 year, I've also been working on this new pricing model launch happening in December. I'm also joined by Brent Scannell, who's a senior product manager for Autodesk Platform Services, who leads sales enablement for APS. I'm joined by Erica Beffert, who's the Director of Product Management for the developer ecosystem. So the dev portal, the API portfolio, and the App Store comes under a domain. And finally, I'm joined by Arunima Kumar, who is a marketing communications specialist for APS, leading comms for us. So at the end of the session, we will have an entire panel with Brent, Erica, and Arunima to answer any questions you'll have live regarding the new business model and the experience as well. Awesome. So I'm going to quickly pull up the safe harbor statement, keeping this on for like about 10 seconds for everyone to read before I dive into the content. Awesome. So the agenda for today is very simple, right? I'm going to speak more about the new APS business model and what it looks like, the new APS Developer Hubs feature, and why we released it for you as a customer. And third, and the most important topic for today, the call to action required by you as a customer to avoid any service disruption, which could potentially happen if you don't complete certain steps. And then we're going to end with a Q&A session. However, if you have a lot of questions throughout this webinar, feel free to put it in the Q&A tab, and our team will start answering them asynchronously in the Zoom chat as well. Awesome. So the APS business model updates. At this point, I don't expect this to be new news because we announced this at AU, and since then we've had multiple communications already getting sent out that how we are evolving our pricing model and in general for APS. But before I get into the details, I want to take a couple of minutes to speak about why we made this decision at Autodesk to evolve the new business model for APS. So in today's world, we have entered a really AI-driven era where AI is not just about making predictions. It's not just about generating content. It's not like ChatGPT, please summarize this content for me or summarize this meeting for me. It's not just about that anymore. We've entered a phase where AI is actually able to do a certain task for you um, because of a new agentic approach. At AU, our CTO Raji quoted that, to quote her, she said, "We've entered the describe and do phase of AI, where you're describing a task for AI to do, and it is actually able to do it." Why? Because it is able to access your data and thus making it easier for you to do a specific task. On top of it, something was released last November, across this technology world of something called Model Context Protocol. It was an open source protocol, and now it has become the next big thing because an MCP server is basically a superpower given to LLMs for them to better interact with the data. And the case for that is because they are now getting context. It's Model Context Protocol. They're getting context about the type of data they're interacting with, thus making it easier for them to do tasks for you. So, based on this entire evolution in the tech world and the path Autodesk is going with a heavy emphasis on AI, we made a decision to revamp our business model to better reflect the value and flexibility our platform provides, and to support you as a customer to scale, to provide tools to build faster and automate more to support future innovation. So now that I've spoken more about why we decided to do this, let's go into what the new business model looks like. So firstly, you can quickly scan this QR code. This is where we have officially announced the business model almost a month ago, so it'll provide you more details if required. So let's speak about the free tier. Uh, Today, let's say you signed up for APS for the first time. You got a 90-day trial. So what that means is, let's say you logged into the APS developer portal or APS or Autodesk.com. That gave you 90 days to try out our APIs for free. And then once the trial ended, you could continue to use our free APIs, and then you had to potentially buy tokens to use our paid APIs like Automation API, Model Derivative, and more. So there was one flaw with that trial system, and that is, let's say at any given point, APS released a new API, which was a paid API. You as a user were never able to try out that API and build a quick POC because the trial had already ended. So we made a decision that when we are expanding a portfolio of high quality, high value APIs, it becomes very important that you as a customer are able to try out our APIs for free. And that is why we are announcing something called as the free tier, which replaces the 90-day trial. With the free tier, you get access to all our APIs. However, you only get a certain usage cap for the paid API. So let's say you are using Model Derivative. Model Derivative is a paid API. However, under the free tier, you can still use Model Derivative, but with a certain usage cap, just enough for your team to build a quick POC and try out the API. So we're really glad that we're announcing this because it really provides flexibility for you as a customer to continuously try out APIs on an ongoing basis whenever we release more APIs. Next up, the paid tier. So the paid tier is divided up into two main options, the prepay model and the pay-as-you-go model. So the prepay model is nothing new. It is what the current experience is, where let's say you are buying Flex tokens. If you're a Flex user, if you have an enterprise contract with us, you are using your T-Flex tokens, that remains the same. So in general, you are consuming tokens while you're using APS APIs. The good thing about this is that you are knowing what you're buying. So we mainly recommend the prepay model if you know what your usage is going to look like. So if you're able to predict what your usage is going to look like, then go ahead, buy tokens and start calling up paid APIs. And next up, something which is brand new and I'm very excited to speak more about this, and that is the pay-as-you-go model. What is pay-as-you-go? Let's say you're a customer who is trying out APS APIs, and you want to try out API and you want to scale. Let's say that you don't want to look at limits, you don't want to risk service disruption because you ran out of tokens and you just want to scale. You would go for something as we call as the pay-as-you-go model. What does that mean? Basically, you're going to put in a payment method with us. It could be PayPal, it could be a credit card, etc. And then you can use as much APS as you want to. And then at the end of the month or on a monthly basis, you will be billed on what your usage looks like. So no risk of service disruption and giving you plenty of opportunity to scale over here. So the pay-as-you-go model will not be available in all geos immediately. If you scan that QR code, we have mentioned the geos and countries where the pay-as-you-go model will be available, and slowly and steadily we will make sure this model is available across the world. Awesome. Okay, so this is what the high level for the new business model looks like. Moving on, the APS Developer Hub. Okay, introducing the new APS Developer Hub feature. So we launched this feature in early access earlier this year. We only gave access to it to a few customers. However, we got great feedback. And let me speak more about it, and then I'll say why we decided that this feature will become mandatory to use to continue using APS. So today, only individual accounts can be created on APS, and there is no admin role, which makes it hard for admins to know what applications the developers are building and what the associated usage is for that application. The Developer Hubs feature is basically a container on the developer portal, putting all the applications your team is working on in one single place. So I am an engineering manager, let's say with 10 engineers. I'm going to invite all my 10 engineers into one single hub. Now, instead of having these applications in their personal accounts, all applications sit in one place. Then from an admin standpoint, I am easily able to manage my development team and the client IDs. Let's talk about one pain point. Let's say one of my engineers left the team. Today, if an engineer left a team, you would have to submit a support ticket to Autodesk, and Autodesk had to manually transfer ownership of that application to you on behalf of that user, which takes a bit of time. So now in this case, even if a user leaves the company, the application is still owned by the organization inside that hub. So in general, it really becomes very easy for you to manage your application and team. Also, you get a new feature called Hub Analytics, which basically provides you what usage looks like for you for the applications in that specific hub. So again, APS is really focusing on two main terms: visibility and control. When we're evolving a pricing model, from an experience standpoint, it becomes very important that you get the visibility and control over your APS costs and usage. And let's tie this together, right? I know a lot of y'all might be seasoned Autodesk folks who have been using multiple products like AutoCAD, Revit, Inventor. So let's see how it ties up with the overall picture, making it a bit more easy to understand how the new user management system for APS looks like. So in general, if you know, every Autodesk subscription, like let's say AutoCAD, Revit, Inventor, they're all tied to your team. What is your team? So when you log into something called the accounts portal, or what we say as manage.autodesk.com, you will see the team you're a part of. All your subscriptions are associated with that team. So basically, like you would have to add me to that team and then assign me a seat if you want to give me access to a specific product. Now use that exact same picture and put it in for APS. An APS subscription, like the free tier, or a flex subscription, or a pay as you go, is tied to your team. Okay. In that team, you're going to be creating what we call a developer hub. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to create a developer hub under that team. And then the applications which you create or the client IDs you create, they sit in that hub. So from a high level standpoint, you will see that any application sitting in a hub is directly charging the subscription of the team which owns the hub, just making a great hierarchical workflow in terms of managing your applications. So this really fits in really well with how other Autodesk products work. And again, just giving you a lot of visibility and control over your APS usage. Okay, now let's get into the call to actions required, which is pretty much the most important topic for today. With this new business model and with these new mandatory requirements of having a developer hub, there are three call to actions required for you as a customer, or your applications are at risk of service disruption because they would lose access to APS APIs. Firstly, an APS subscription is required. Secondly, you have to create a hub. And thirdly, if you're an existing user, you have to move your applications into a hub by December 22nd. Okay. So let's speak about the first one, APS subscription required. So today's customers, there is a good mix of customers. There would be users with a flex subscription. You could be a user with an enterprise contract. However, I would think that majority of you, or at least 50% of you, are users who do not really have an APS subscription today. And the reason for that is you might be using our free APIs only. Our free APIs never required you to have an APS subscription. Now that changes. Starting December 8th, when we are launching this new business model, even if you're using only free APIs, you are required to have an APS subscription. You could always go and invest in a flex subscription or a pay as you go on December 8th if you want to continue, getting a higher usage cap for the paid APIs. However, let's say you said, I just want a free tier. Then yes, you need to go and acquire a free tier to basically continue using APS. Because without having an APS subscription, you will not be eligible to create a hub. And then without creating a hub, you will not be able to move your applications into hubs. It's all connected. So in general, you need to have an APS subscription starting December 8th. So whenever you acquire the APS subscription, you will be allowed, the system will allow you to go ahead and create a hub for that specific team. And then you will have to move all the applications you are working on or your team is working on into this specific hub. So if you complete all these three steps by December 22nd, great. None of your applications are at risk of service disruption. Okay. However, come December 22nd or come December 23rd, any application which does not sit in a hub, that application is at risk of service disruption. So I just want to highlight that. Again, the intention is not to scare you. The intention is to just prepare you as a customer, because I'm already very glad y'all have joined this webinar a month before the release, just giving you a lot of time to complete all these steps, or potentially just prepare your team to complete these steps come December 8th as well. Okay. So now let's break it down. Let's say like you are a specific customer. Do all these three requirements fall in for you? Let's break that down and provide more information. Okay. So in today's call, try to fit yourself into one of these three categories. You could be a customer with a Flex subscription. It doesn't matter whether you're using Flex for APS or not, because Flex allows you to use various Autodesk products. Let's say you're a customer with a Flex subscription. So please put yourself in that bucket. If you are a user with an enterprise contract with Autodesk, or what we call as T-Flex tokens, then put yourself in that bucket. And let's say you don't have a Flex subscription, nor you have a T-Flex subscription, then put yourself in the third bucket. Okay, and just keep this in mind when I'm moving on into the next slides. Okay, let's speak about the user with a Flex subscription. Okay, if you are a user with a Flex subscription, you are eligible to create a hub as of October 7th. So it's not new. We're not launching it today. Since October 7th, you have been allowed as a customer to create a hub in your Flex team. Okay. Now you'll see in this diagram, one step is missing. The one which I mentioned earlier about acquiring an APS subscription. Yes, that is missing. And the reason that is missing is because you already have Flex. That means you already have an APS subscription. So that first step has already been defaulted for you. So awesome, you've completed the first step. However, you still need to go ahead and create a hub in your Flex team, and you have to invite your team members into that hub, and the app owner themselves have to move their applications into a hub. So for a Flex subscription, if you're a customer with a Flex subscription, you have two main action items. Create a hub in your Flex team, invite your members to the hub and tell them to move their applications into a hub. So you've had this feature starting October 7th, and you'll have until December 22nd to complete these two steps. So for a Flex subscription, this is what it looks like. Let's say you're a user with an enterprise contract, or what we call with a token Flex subscription. Okay. It's very similar to what a Flex subscription looks like. You have to create a hub on your team with an enterprise contract, and then you're going to invite members to the hub, and then the app owner moves their applications into the hub. This has been available for you as an enterprise customer since October 1st. If you are an enterprise customer, I highly recommend that you reach out to your account manager in your company, or reach out to your account manager at Autodesk, because they will be able to assist you with the migration. We've already informed all your account managers. A lot of customers with an enterprise contract have already started moving to hubs. So we've had dedicated comms to our enterprise contract managers. So I highly recommend that if you have already not been informed about this, please reach out to your account manager at your company or at Autodesk as well. Great. Okay, and now let's say you're a user who does not have a Flex or a T-Flex subscription. What options do you have, right? Because I mentioned earlier that you'll be like, Dhwanil, you mentioned that the free tier gets launched on December 8th. Then do I really have to wait until December 8th? So you have two options over here, right? The first option is, let's say you don't want to risk this migration of applications until December 8th. What you could do is you can acquire Flex right now. Yes, I know it is an investment. I know you have to put in money, but let's say you want to be on the safe side and you want to prepare for migration, go ahead, acquire Flex. Acquiring Flex will make you eligible to create a hub. So once you do that, you will be able to move your applications into a hub and giving you a lot of time until December 22nd to complete these 3 steps. Okay. However, I understand, you're like, I don't want to invest money right now because I'm only using free APIs. Why will I put in money for a Flex subscription? That's completely fine. Then the second option for you is on December 8th, keep an alarm somewhere, prepare yourself. On December 8th, acquire one of our APS offerings. You can go for a free tier, or let's say you want to explore a pay as you go, or you always have Flex as an option. Go ahead, acquire the APS offering on December 8th, create a hub, and move your applications to a hub by December 22nd, giving you around 14 days to complete these 3 steps. Okay. So the good thing is that if you're in this call, then I've already informed you about this. So you can prepare yourself and you can prepare internally as well within your company as to how procurement happens or how you're going to be communicating with users using APS. That on December 8th, there's a very important action item for you to take, which is to acquire a subscription, creating a hub, and moving those applications into a hub. So in general, if you're a customer who does not have a Flex or T-Flex subscription, these are the 2 options you have. Awesome. Okay. So now let's get into the hub creation workflow and how it looks like in your UI and what we recommend for you as a customer to do to make it easier for you to migrate your applications. Okay. Step 1A. This is mainly, let's say if you're an admin, then I would focus on this specific slide. Step 1A is send out an internal email in your organization and check who is actively using APS APIs. Send out an email, tell everyone like, oh, yes, I have a client ID currently, which is calling APS APIs, and it's an active application. We're heavily using APS APIs. Then they should reach out to you, right? So send out an internal email to your organization, check users, check who's actively using APS APIs, and then also simultaneously inform the users on what actions need to be taken by them to migrate the applications into a hub. And then just document those users, because these are the users you as an admin need to add to the hub, and then those users will be allowed to move their applications inside the hub. Okay, so this is step 1A for the admin. Step 1B, okay? This is optional. I think it's a nice to have, but I'm still going to mention this, okay? Let's say you're a developer who is currently seeing this webinar, or you have read our blogs and you're like, oh, you know what? I need to get access to a hub. I need to move my application into a hub. What you can do is go to your My Applications or your standalone applications page as of today. Go there, click an application, and then you will see something called a team assignment. This team assignment is basically the team which is being charged for your applications if you're using a paid APIs. So then you will see which teams you currently have access to, which are mainly using APS APIs. So then what you could do is you could reach out to your admin saying, oh, I am a part of this team. Can you please create a hub on this specific team and then invite my other co-workers inside this hub as well? So you could be having a process like that. Okay. Now, the reason I marked it as optional is because in general, you could be a part of multiple teams. However, if you're a part of one organization, it is most likely that all the individuals in your organization are connected to that one team in manage or autodesk.com. So at that point, it would make sense for you to just get added to that hub rather than a different team, just so that all the applications by your organization sit in one specific hub. Okay, so if you want to do this, I still recommend it just to give you more clarity and more visibility into what kind of teams you're connected to. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to the admin role. Let's say the admin has completed the steps. They are aware of what users need to be added to the hub. Then you are going to log in to manage.autodesk.com. Okay. So a primary team or secondary admin will go to products and services and click hubs. Once they click hubs, you are going to you're going to click the create hub button. Okay. Go ahead, click the create hub button, and then you're going to fill up the model, provide a hub name, provide a description if you need to, and then yay, your hub has been created. Very simple, very similar to workflows like our info hubs or the BIM hubs or an ACC hub, a similar workflow like that when you're creating a hub under products and services. So go ahead, create a developer hub, then click the hyperlink. So click APS developer hub, it's a hyperlink. You will be redirected to the APS developer portal. Once you're in the APS developer portal, you're going to click roles and access. You're going to click invite member, and the list you had documented earlier, invite every single one of those users into this hub. You can give them access to as a developer, or you can give them access to as a hub admin. One hub can have multiple hub admins. So if you want all your users to be a hub admin because it works better for you as a customer, go ahead and do it. Okay. So then, yeah, go ahead and invite everyone to the hub. And then this is where the app owner needs to take an action. Let's say, okay, now let's summarize this. The admin created the hub. The admin invited me as an engineer into the hub. Now, this is the most important step for the migration. As a app owner, I'm going to go to my personal My Applications page. Let's try to run this. Yeah, so go to my personal applications page. I'm going to click the applications I want to move to the hub. I can multi-select them. I'm going to select them. I want to move them to Test Hub 19 because that's the name of my developer hub. And awesome, my apps have moved to a hub. That's it. So if you think from this perspective, it's just a different place in the UI for your applications to sit in. However, in the grand scheme of things, it has become much easier for your organization to manage the applications in general. So again, mainly providing you the visibility and control for using APS, APIs, and more. Okay, moving on. So this is what, in general, like the overall diagram would look like, right? Like the admin is creating a developer hub. Every developer owns applications. They are requesting the admin to get added to the hub, or the admin is aware who needs to be added to the hub. And then as an app owner, I am moving my applications into a hub. Okay. Now I want to highlight a couple of points over here. Firstly, only app owners will be able to move their hubs. Oh, sorry, only app owners will be able to move their applications. Okay. And the reason for that is at Autodesk, we really make sure that our customers have a great privacy and trust experience so that there is no security risks. And we identified that if we want to make sure we have a very smooth migration program without any security risks, we only want app owners to move their applications into Hub. So at that point, as an app owner, I know I am making a decision to move an application into a hub. So again, making sure that your organization has no issues in general about privacy, trust, and more, just that we are providing a very safe experience for you to migrate the applications into a hub. Secondly, I've been getting a lot of questions asked that, oh, does migrating applications into a hub change client secrets? Absolutely not. Migration of applications into a hub has nothing to do with the app details itself. Everything remains the same. You're just moving the application into a different place, making it easier for your organization to better manage your application in this new era of the business model and more. So in general, this is what the overall app migration process looks like. Okay, now a quick summary of whatever we spoke today. Okay, so main call to action. Starting December 8th, access to APIs will require a subscription. Okay, the admins need to create a hub, and every app owner needs to be invited to the hub, and they themselves will move the applications into the hub. Okay, users must complete the actions by December 22nd. So as of today, the deadline to complete these steps is December 22nd. If you're a Flex user or a T-Flex user, you're already eligible to start the migration program, giving you almost a month and a half, almost 2 months to complete the migration steps. Let's say you're a customer who does not want to invest in Flex or T-Flex, then you'll have to wait until December 8th, acquire a subscription, create a hub, and then move those applications into a hub. Okay. A great note before you go. Today, in general, the only Flex and T-Flex tokens are required. Now, starting December 8th, an additional way to pay for APS would be the pay-as-you-go option. In terms of control and visibility, right now, as I mentioned earlier, all the applications sit in their own accounts individually. So as an admin, I get zero visibility. Now, visibility and control becomes amazing because now I get it as an admin in the accounts portal and developer portal, and the APS developer hubs, it become mandatory to use APS. App creation. Okay. Today, apps can be created both inside a hub, and it can be created in your individual developer account. Starting December 8th, we are going to disable the app creation button in your personal account. Okay. So starting December 8th, you will only be allowed to create an app in your developer hub. Okay. And finally, reporting. I'm really excited for this. You will see more comms in the next few weeks. But in terms of reporting, you only previously got reporting on the developer portal, just showing API and pay and token usage reporting for the paid APIs. Now you are going to be able to see reporting for both free APIs and paid APIs, and you're going to be able to see it both in the accounts portal and in the developer portal on the team level, hub level, and app level. So great features for you to continue monitoring your APS costs. In the beginning, you'll definitely see reporting for all paid APIs. You will see reporting for a few free APIs, and eventually you will be able to see usage for all APIs through our reporting features. Okay. And this is what the timeline summary looks like. At AU, we announced the pricing model. On October 1st, starting October 1st, we allowed our Flex and T-Flex users to create hubs and begin migration of apps. On December 8th, we are announcing our new APS subscriptions. We're launching our new APS subscriptions. And then December 8th to December 22nd is that buffer period. We're going to give you all 2 weeks, the final 2-week countdown to move your applications into a hub. And then from December 23rd, apps outside a hub lose access to APS APIs. So only an application sitting inside a hub can continue calling APS APIs. So that's what the overall timeline looks like. And these are some quick resources. In general, if you have any more questions, you can always just scan these QR codes and look into them. And that's it from the content side of today's